bit in this week's episode of Cartoon Buffoons. I'm your host, Wyatt, and who is here with me today, as always?
Hello, I'm Morgan. I'm number 5's other sister who's not in the show.
Oh man, we're going to have a long conversation about number 5's sister when we get to that episode.
Yes, we are. Me talking about from a mechanic standpoint and you being hornier than anyone has ever seen you in your entire life.
But we're here to talk about Sheep in the Big City, a show that I have fucking never seen until doing this episode, and now I'm confident. I have barely ever seen it doing this episode. Morgan, what about you? Have you had any?
I saw the pilot because I remember this was like one of the big pilots they showed, if I'm not mistaken. And I caught a few episodes when I was a kid, but I didn't like it.
Yes.
So I didn't watch much of it.
But now that we're old people, how do you feel about this show before we get into it?
I think this show is funny.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it wasn't this long.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't long.
This is going to be a weird episode because...
It's going to be a really fucking weird episode, dude.
Because I'm in agreement where I'm like, this show is like pretty much exactly what I would want from like a comedy show, or like, okay, first off, I didn't realize until watching it, but this is a New York-based show, so there's a lot of like Muppet people working on this show. So it has like a very Muppety sense of humor. Like it feels very Muppets or Sesame Street and things like that. And I really like that sense of humor because it's just like weird and offbeat and like dumb in a way that you didn't
expect usually.
Yeah, exactly. However, the problem, the difference between this show, which is me, an adult man watching it on YouTube, 22-minute episode, and Sesame Street, which is like whatever, a kid watches it.
3-minute segments constantly, 3-minute segment, 3-minute segment.
Is that this is like funny for like a few minutes.
Yeah. And
it's like very
going.
Funny. Yeah. And then I'm like, is this the same fucking episode? Dear God, why is it still going?
Dude, I've never watched a show that I was like, this is funny, but I dreaded the rest of the episode like this in my life.
Yeah.
This is like, I think it's almost a talent to make a show that is just like straight up funny without any caveats, and then have watching a whole episode of it feel like pulling teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, that is crazy to me. Like, it is wild. I don't understand. Okay. We're going to get... I think this does open up some good conversations before we, like, just out of the nature of air times and things like that in cartoons, because there is a lot of debate here and there with cartoon nerds. They don't like... The average cartoon nerd, especially those that they love their epic lore and things like that, they don't like shows to be 11 minutes long. They're like, oh, if something's 11 minutes long, it's like really disappointing because it doesn't have room to breathe or to grow or do whatever.
If you don't take your ass to HBO, get the fuck out of my
face. And my opinion, as somebody who has watched a lot of cartoons and has done a lot of videos on cartoons and has watched cartoons in the break room with my friend and things like that, I've come to the conclusion that like 22 minutes, that's way too much for a cartoon, especially a comedy show.
Yeah.
I think there are some shows where they benefit from a 22-minute format, but I've yet to see like, yes, Transformers animated or whatever,
But that's like an action. That's an action cartoon. That's a totally different beast.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the issue is that people have. How do I say this? Every cartoon. No, I'll say most cartoons really just can't ride out that long length. Just kind of full stop. Like, because the thing is, though, you said like the people like, oh, I think the 11 minutes is just it's too short, dude. I don't know, man. Affinity Train made that shit work.
Yeah,
I think what you got to think about is the fact that like even if you think it's like not enough, is that cartoons will get a big ass fucking season. Like the breathing room is like the fact that you have so many episodes.
Yeah,
like
and with shorter episodes, it's like get in, get out, a lot of variety. Something like Craig the Creek, every episode is like a different dumb conflict with like a weird new kid or a group of kids,
but it
or
works.
whatever, like that kind of thing. It's like, so it's exciting, like every single episode to watch it. Whereas like my problem immediately with this show and it being 22 minutes long is that it's not like, oh, it's not 2 11-minute episodes stitched together or 3 7-minute episodes or whatever. I thought it would maybe be that, and they kind of have like chapters,
but they're fake.
And the interstitial like little gag things like in between. But for whatever reason, it still is like, it doesn't feel like I'm taking a break from the story and like refreshing myself. It just feels like an oppressive 22 minutes.
To be honest,
of content.
I don't even know how the fuck this got made like that. I don't know who at like Cartoon Network was like this. Oh yeah, that's fine. That seems crazy to me. Like, was no one like, "Are you insane?" Like,
yeah.
the thing is, and it bums me out because I do think the sense of humor in the show is really interesting. I like the punness of it. I like the very tongue in cheek, very much aware of how things going. I like like you mentioned it's like Sesame Street and the Muppets, and you're right because they have like that very much recurring gag that is in every episode kind of deal where like we cut away to a character. I think that works really well, but also not to be mean, I don't want to spend 19 minutes on the joke of this sheep is a supermodel. I just think that joke after 6 minutes makes me want to jump out a window. Yeah, we've done it, people.
Yeah, I was watching this and I'm like, how is this not a 7-minute show? Like, it just feels like perfect for that early Cartoon Network sort of Johnny Bravo style, Dexter's Lab, those kind of things. 7 minutes, pure gags. Like, to me, that's what a 7-minute show is. It's kind of like
gag, we're done.
Yeah, just gags. And then 11 minutes is like, all right, you get some, like, it's mostly gags, but there is a story. There's like an A and a B plot and whatever. There's like a story structure to it. And then like 22 minutes, like I said, especially with like kid shows that are, less plot heavy or less like reliant on action sequences or things like that.
Yeah.
11 minutes is just fine for those episodes. Like, even shows that have like stories to them, like Steven Universe or like Amphibia or whatever, like that are 11 minutes long. It works fine. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah, they still use that 11 minutes cleanly. Yeah. Like, I don't even know why conceptually someone would like go like, yeah, this is the one I needed on. Like, I guess okay. So I think part of this is going over to like the guy that creates it. Shout out Mo Willems, who's a very talented artist. I love the art of the show, by the way.
Yeah. It looks like. Here's the thing. We're bitching a lot about the show,
but we do like it. Like,
literally, yeah. I think literally on like a fundamental level, it's a good show. That's funny. And like, if you were to watch it, I would say like, yeah, it's on YouTube. There's a few episodes, you can watch a few episodes and kind of get the gist of it. Like that, I felt like just watching like 3 episodes for me personally. I was like, I get this. I don't really need to watch any more than this to like understand the show. I feel like I've seen plenty, and I don't know. That's maybe if I watched more, my mind would be opened up, and I
watch a lot more than you. I watch a lot.
Yeah.
The thing, look, what I'm gonna say, like, I feel like because like of the creator's history as like an author, and working on Sesame Street stuff like this, I feel like a long style gag of like you're like doing this or you're doing this specific thing with a character in a book format works differently. Like, I can imagine reading 13 to 14 pages of this, right? And like to like someone or to a kid and enjoying it as a like children's book. But man, TV's a different beast.
Yeah.
TV's a different fucking beast.
I can also imagine like those interstitial gags, they can be like one-off comic strips or book, like things like that. Like it feels very like, I wasn't surprised when I read up and learned, that he was like a children's book writer. And then also I was like, oh yeah, it is all these like Sesame Street and like Muppet people like working on it, like Stephanie DeBruzo, who is made Avenue Q, and things like that, and also is like just a regular performer for like the Muppets and other like Henson stuff like that. But yeah, I think the art style is great. Like it has like a really strong art style that is still like, it's so interesting how all these early Cartoon Network shows, like they base their art style on like these retro cartoons, but they all are like basing it on different ones or like different styles of things.
It's really sick.
Yeah, like you have like Dexter's Lab is sort of based on like these old Hanna-Barbera, but also like Speed Racer and things like that, like old anime. And then Powerpuff Girls is like this 50s and 60s Art Deco sort of like retro futurism kind of art style. And then Ed, Edd n Eddy is like these like 70s sort of Ralph Bakshi kind of animation sort of style. And then this is like a children's book, and it all works. Like it's all like all these different art styles and all these different like all on this channel. Like it really does make it feel like Cartoon Network, because this is where like people who want to make cartoons, like a diverse set of cartoons,
you can like really wear your inspiration and style and stuff on your arm, like what you like. Because the thing is, like, everyone takes their stuff and makes a very strong version of their own art style from it, which I think is great. Because Craig McCracken definitely does have an art style that's so powerful, but you still see those inspirations in all his art even to this day. And I feel like, I don't know, man, this show I think definitely deserves to live. And I'm glad it does, and I like the art of it. And there's some good jokes. I do like the ranting Swede at the end of every episode. I think the final episode of the show also is really good at like the idea of the show and how it's tongue in cheek. I also like how anti-military the show is.
It's just like, you have the idiotic like the military being corrupt and trying to steal the sheep, like doing all that stuff. There's like the the angry scientist who was
angry. That joke also got old. I'm sorry, everybody. The first 7 times, maybe it was okay, but I get it. He's angry. He's not mad. He's angry. I understand.
Yeah, and, and he is doing like a very it's just funny that we have Dexter, who is like maybe not the best Russian accent you've ever heard, but like he's going for it. Whereas like this is apparently supposed to be Mo Willems himself, so it's like it is kind of funny that he's just doing like the most half-assed Russian accent I've ever heard.
I was like confused. Like I'm like, is he supposed to sound vaguely Middle Eastern? He's like one of my fucking uncles. I'm like, what is he trying to do here? I don't know. It's very. I don't know.
I think it is just foreigner. I guess like whatever. Like that's the thing that is, because I was like, is this like it just felt kind of Eastern European to. I guess that's where my brain is always at with like these people. But like, I can see that too with the especially because there's a lot of crossover with like Turkey and stuff like that. But
is that like they can mix it together? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I don't know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing else. I'm not being mean to anyone specific. I think y'all gotta stop saying this show deserved better for a lot of things. I think we gotta all come together and realize that some TV shows should be 1 to 2 seasons. I think we really, because like, I don't know, man. I'm like, oh man, I wish Sheep in the Big City got to go on for a long time, brother.
No,
they would have fucking ran out of jokes quickly.
I doubt they had enough jokes for 26 episodes. Like
22 minutes. Like I like no show in my entire life has felt more. Man, how did you get 2 seasons? Not in like a mean way, because I think season 2 works a little bit more for me actually, but just some shows are 24 episode shows that after that they should disappear, and that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, I think there are plenty of shows that are just, they burn bright and disappear. Or they're just like, oh, that was interesting, and then they're gone, and who cares, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just, or like, yeah, you care and it's fun, but, you know, there's plenty of shows where I'm like, I don't need like 4 seasons of like making fiends or whatever, you know? I think the like 6 episodes of it or whatever that we have, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty good. So we don't need any more, you know. If they wanted to make more, sure, but
yeah, but we don't need it. I don't feel like the show was done in injustice, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I actually did just see here on like looking at the Wikipedia page them comparing it to Rocky and Bullwinkle, which is that's a good point of comparison. Those like what the fuck is the name of that guy? The person Jay Ward, you know, like that art style, like those.
Yeah. No, it does feel like that. Most of all, like how like people are shaped is like really has it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then specifically like that show was very sketch related, very like meta and jokey and everything, like in a way. And that's the thing. Like I think this show, what makes that kind of sense of humor work is that it's like meta, or it's like acknowledging the overall dumbness of it, but it's not like winking at the camera too much. It's just sort of is what it is.
Yeah,
you know?
like it feels like it's like a tone specifically instead of like a Deadpool style. Hey, like it's like this is just the kind of the tone of the show.
Yeah, like I think of a joke in one of the episodes I watched where there's the people are like, all right, we need to think outside the box, and then the camera zooms out and they're standing in a box, and then they like slowly walk out of the box, or like just start standing next to it, and then they start talking again. And that to me is like, that's a
good one.
Yeah, that's such a Muppety joke. I actually was so it felt so in tone with that kind of sense of humor and the sense of humor of stuff like AJ's Infinite Summer that I had to ask Toby. I was like, was this show an influence on AJ in any way? He said no. He said that he did enjoy it, but he didn't watch it enough as a kid for it to be like a huge influence on him. And I can't imagine that, because it is like I don't know.
I don't know if you saw it. There's an episode where the plot is that the narrator / sheep is sick. So they have to do like a bunch of different like things instead of the episode, instead of like an overarching plot. Yeah, and it might just be the best episode.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like I didn't see that, but it does sound good. There's
a song where like the evil little girl from the show sings a song about what she wants from her future, and it goes, "I can't wait to be a bureaucrat." It talks about working in government. I'm like, this is a really good joke. Like this show needed a bit more. We're moving from bit to bit to bit to bit to bit, instead of trying to make like a joke. Also, this is a hot take. I don't think Sheep is funny.
Yeah.
I think the fact that everything else around, and that might be the point, but the fact that everything else around Sheep is funny, but Sheep themselves isn't, literally bothers me sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, he is very like, I don't know. Like, I think he didn't necessarily need to be. I think they need to make him less funny overall, so he's like not even trying to be funny.
He's just
like,
a sheep.
He just needs to be carried in the inertia of the chaos that's like breaking out around him. I don't know. That's a good point. That like the main premise of the show. I don't know. Just in general, like this show, it feels so much like a show that should be part of a different show. Like that
this
there's
should be
another
a small
bigger
segment.
Yeah, exactly. And like a different show. It's just like the premise is like almost good enough to carry itself, but it's not quite there. And that's the case if it was like a 7-minute show. That it's like, all right, it's almost good enough to carry itself as a show. But the fact that they like defy God and are like, here you go, it's 2 minutes episodes, is like, Jesus Christ. It just like really stretches it out. I remember in our Johnny Bravo episode me mentioning like, oh man, season 4 has 11-minute episodes. It feels like they're really stretching them out, and there's a lot of like 2-parters or whatever. And like that was a problem with Powerpuff Girls, like as well. But like like later on. But this, I'm like, dear God, and I fear for our attention spans to a certain extent, but it's also like I think
See,
they're yeah.
like I would also fear for our attention spans, but except like when I stopped watching the show, I put on an hour-long television show and just watched it with no problem. It's definitely like I feel like it doesn't feel specific. It doesn't feel like there's a reason for it, right? Like I think when you pick how long your show is going to be in your product, there has to be a really good reason for it. What do you want to fill this with? What do you want to do? It's why shows like Ed and Eddie or even Ego Trip, why those longer specials don't feel long. Because when they went into the design stage of how long those things were going to be, they were aware of it, and it's built from the ground up to fit that timing. Like I don't know. I feel like a lot. Like it's funny. We're gonna get to now how long things are. I feel like people see me bitch about like 3-hour movies a lot on the internet, and they go, "You just have small things." Like, no. Hold on. I will watch the most annoying 3-hour slow burn movie of your life. The issue is though, it's supposed to feel that way. I think so many movies being produced in America specifically are long to be long and not to have anything to say or do. And I don't need a movie to be action packed. If you're long in order to like build tension or like to even put yourself in a false sense of security in a lull, if you're long to bore someone on purpose, that's totally different than being long and spinning your wheels.
Yeah, movies are long not because of any structural reason. They're long because they want to artificially give people the impression that it's worth going to over a 90-minute movie.
Yeah, like it's an epic,
And that just became the standard, and now like 90-minute movies are like dead. Even like cartoons are like 2-hour movies now. You know, like that's, which is, I remember, I don't know, I remember like being a kid and stuff and like paying attention to run times and always being like, oh yeah, animated movies are always like a little bit shorter than like live action movies. And then now it's gotten to the point where like, oh yeah, no, Pixar movies are now 2 hours long.
And it does this credit to like script writers. It does this credit to script writers and directors, because a lot of times when you can feel it, it just kind of ruins the old. Like I think an hour and a half movie that's okay, and then you add an extra 30 minutes onto it, has now become a movie I don't want to watch again.
Yeah, exactly, and vice versa. Where like I can't think of a single movie that's like 2.5 hours long. We're chopping off like 40 minutes of it. Would it make it way bad? I just watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the new Planet of the Apes movie. One, way worse than the previous trilogy of movies. The like Matt Reeves movies that were like made in the 2010s. So much worse than that. And second, those movies are fucking like, especially like War, the final one, is like long. It's like 3 hours. It's like depressing. It's drawn out, but that's good because it's like it fits the tone of the movie.
Yeah, it's made to feel that way. Yeah.
Whereas like, you know, this movie, Kingdom, is like, you know, it's such a basic plot and everything, and it's so like unambitious with its themes, and it doesn't even like, it doesn't really feel like Planet of the Apes on like anything but a surface level of having apes that are talking in it. Like that's kind of the thing, that it doesn't have any like specific themes of, you know, the relationship between like humanity and nature or like prejudice and things like that. It's just very much just kind of like a YA fantasy story, but with apes in it. And then there's a human that shows up. And just like everything about it, I was just like, if this exact kind of premise of like super basic, you know, back to basics, starting a new trilogy, that kind of thing, movie was like 80 minutes, I would be all for it. But the fact that it's fucking 2 hours and 40 minutes, I was so bored in the theater. And I did nothing, like the entire car ride, like back, you know, I went with my uncle. I was just like bitching the entire time about the runtime to him, you know, which is like kind of shitty because it was, you know, like he took me to the movie theaters and we went to watch the movie, but that was because I didn't want to watch Inside Out 2, and that was basically the only other movie that was like in theaters, which is like blows my mind because you would imagine Buffalo would have I don't know. It's because it's a big city. It would have like, okay, it probably has like some interesting movies like screening, but there was just like beginning of June, nothing. Like, literally no things interesting were screening in Buffalo. But anyway, that's just like a little tangent I want to go on about like the length of stuff where it's like there are these shows where I do genuinely feel like there are plenty of shows out there that I enjoy, but would be so much better if they just bit the bullet, cut stuff out, or like condense stuff and told a more efficient story.
Yeah,
in 11 minutes.
Like we're very much living in like a content kind of like brain fog for a lot of people. A lot of people think that like more content that you want means better, and I'm like, no, like. Listen, people go, oh, look at the deleted scene. This one's really good. Why wasn't this in the thing? Because it didn't fit, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with behind-the-scenes stuff that's fun to digest. I think trying to release 9 to 10 cuts of, like, this is the real... Like, come on, bro. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, that's a huge fucking problem with video games, I'll say. Like, as far as, like, the content mindset of, like, getting your bang for your buck, it's like... Dear God, does God of War Ragnarok need to be like 40 hours long? No. Like, it absolutely does not.
Let me get the fuck in and get out. Like, and especially games where like, not to go into video game thing real quick, I just think that like some games are so fake long that like, because God of War Ragnarok is a fake open world, fake RPG.
Yeah.
If it was just a real 20-minute action game, it'd probably be a lot fucking better. Like,
yeah,
I've bitched about RPG elements and stuff before, but like, yeah, it just feels like it's padding in a way that like, oh, I gotta get my perfect build. Bro, you are hitting motherfuckers with an axe. You are Kratos. Perfect build? Shut up. What are you talking about?
There is no... The RPG elements are an illusion, okay? It's not that big of a deal.
Okay, but
like...
But back to Sheep in a Big City. I think, like... I watch a lot of the show because I don't want to. I was like not feeling it, but I'm the kind of fucking dickhead who's like, I'm not feeling the show. I gotta give it more time to see if I'm being fair or not. But the last episode, I don't know if you watched it. Is the setup is that it opens up with the complaining Swede, and he's like screaming and ranting, and then they go, "Okay, good shot, everybody. See you after lunch," and they all break off. And the episode is the characters acting.
Yeah.
Them, like, setting up for lunch and, like, saying, hey, what if we kill sheep? Wouldn't that be the star of the show, General Specific?
Yeah.
And I think that's such a good goof. Like, he has them do fake commercials. And it's, like, the episode that works the most for me. It feels the most in line with the show. And it wouldn't work if the rest of the show doesn't exist. But I still don't know if I wanted to sit through all the rest of the show. Like, I think it's a very interesting way to do your last episode. Because the show ends with the opening. And it's just really nice and cool, and it made me like kind of like go, okay, maybe I was a little hard on the show. I still think at the end of the day it's too long.
Full circle moment of like that's cool. I think in general this is like an interesting, like we're constantly complaining about its length or whatever, but the thing is, at the end of the day, we keep on going back to the fact that it is funny, and we do like maybe some jokes are like worn out, but that's only because of the format, not because of the quality of the writing or whatever. Yeah. It's just that this is proof that editing can, help in the writing process as well. But like, I don't know. And then, like sometimes, you just like watch a show and it's freaking, on a season or 2 seasons or whatever, and you feel like totally satisfied and you're like, all right, that's all she wrote. It's fine. We don't need it anymore. There are plenty of shows where it's like Ed, Edd n Eddy, that would have been a shame if we'd never got more than 2 seasons. Yeah.
Because that's like there's a reason why that lasted as a classic.
4, season 3 and 4 especially are like so good that it would be, like a huge loss. But then I think of stuff like shows I love, like Chowder or Flapjack, where by season 3, it's like still pretty funny, but the people making it are so disengaged.
It's tired,
with what they're doing that it just feels like they're just making... All the characters don't have like personalities anymore. They're just telling jokes. And it becomes overwhelming by the end. You're just like, all right, you don't care about this world or any consistency or the rules or whatever anymore. Why should I? and then you just get bored. It's just so overwhelming.
Like it's like there's very much like there's cartoons I love that I don't want, like you said with Chowder. There's cartoons I love that I didn't want to go on forever. And I think that's something we gotta all come to terms with, is that like things you love have to end. So many people, and I'm about to be mean to nostalgia again, so many people go, I want blank back. You don't want blank back. You want to feel the way you did when you watched it when you were a child. And you should talk to a therapist about that. You don't want a new season of Fairly Odd Parents that's like has Timmy again. You want to feel 7 again because the world's hard and you got to do taxes. Like, let's be honest.
And like, I don't know, with the way that shows are going, you know, the dark, like it's all just like dark. IP revival. I remember, like, I woke up this morning and I saw like, oh, here's Dan Povenmire crying after reading the script of the new Phineas and Ferb, and I'm like, I don't want a fucking new Phineas and Ferb. If there's any show that doesn't need to continue beyond when it ended, it's fucking Phineas and Ferb.
Look, I like Phineas and Ferb. It's we gotta do something else.
Yeah, but Phineas and Ferb is a show where it's like the joke is how repetitive and formulaic it is. Like that's the joke, and I think that works well. And it went on, I think it went on for as long as it needed to, and then ended. You know, it went on for as long. Like somebody pointed this out on Twitter, and it made me realize, like, oh yeah, that is a good metric kind of to go by. It's not like universal, but it was just like it made sense to me that, you know, they asked like, yeah, I know that there was the controversy with Apu in The Simpsons, but I didn't realize they completely removed his character from the show for the past like 5-6 years. And then he said, if there's a character in a show that by the time it's the modern day, it's like completely unacceptable that character shows up, maybe the show should not be on
That's
the air
such
anymore.
A good fucking point. If some of the humor is old enough to have been really ill thought out and offensive, maybe the show should go. Like, I just... like, could you imagine, just like, oh yeah, guys, we had to remove the owner of Tom and Jerry from the newest season of the show. Why? Yeah. Because she was a mammy caricature. Well, maybe the show should be gone. Like, could you imagine we were going through that right now? That'd be hell. Like, it'd be the fucking worst.
Yeah, and, like, just thinking about that, I was like, yeah, that's, like, a good... Like, if a show goes on for so long that, like, it's just such a completely different show from when it started, or, like, the world around it has changed and it hasn't changed, something like that, then it's, like... This needs to go. Like I feel like, you know, even beloved shows like Adventure Time and stuff like that.
No, I think like the internet... Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that, like, something like that is like, Adventure Time started a whole movement, but by the time that it got to its end, it was, like, behind the times compared to other shows that were sort of, you know, like, taking the...
Some would say it was bad.
Forward. Sure, I mean, yeah, we'll have to get to that episode and talk about it.
Oh man, okay, but Leah, I feel like the internet has really caused it where, like, before you knew that your parents or your older brother hated the new cartoons because they're not a child anymore, and they don't know how to verbalize that. But now people are so loud about it because the internet exists that you get to see the take every 3 weeks. If I have to see the stupid fucking King Ghidorah 3 heads with the 90s Cartoon Network, the 2000s Cartoon Network, and then the modern one, which, like, the head looks stupid, one more time, I'm going to turn it to King Ghidorah, and I'm going to blow fucking lightning on everyone's homes. Like, dude. Yeah,
that god, I hate that goddamn image.
No one has ever used that image and then made a good point. They always just sound like inane assholes, man.
Yeah, it's like people time travel from fucking 2012 or whatever, like with the corny ass like meme image format stuff. Like,
just like, oh man, remember cartoons used to be good? I think I should be allowed to fight those people. Like, I think I should be allowed to just like be like, you know, Shaolin Showdown style. We put our hands on our computers and we get sent to another dimension, and I beat their fucking ass. Also, side thing. I do love all the backgrounds in this fucking show. And me need to talk about that.
Yeah.
This is like the best. Like, I think this era of cartoons is the best era of backgrounds. And then Eddie's thin line backgrounds. The we draw a square and I color it in vaguely in Pop-Up Girls, and the like messy like thin lines with like color splashed everywhere, backgrounds of sheep in a big city. Fan-fucking-tastic. I think
beautiful, impressionistic, those kind of minimalist backgrounds.
Like there's some that are like fully blank almost with like nothing on it, and there's some that are so cluttered it's hard to see the characters, but I think it works every single time they do it. The art in the show is so good and so simple, and like it's I think like a lot of people only go animation's good when I'm having like 1,000 frames a second and my brain is having a hard time absorbing it. But like, nah, some of the shit in the show that like just looks so good. I love the way it moves. I love the way Sheep moves. I love Sheep's little like celebratory ripping off his fleece and throwing it. It's so smooth in a really cartoony way. I think it's weird though that this show does not have any, about to be insane, no representation of Fusion Fall. Come on. Where's the sheep from the big city in Fusion Fall, bro?
But here's the thing: this is a pretty obscure show. Where even though it had 2 seasons, that is like crazy to me because like I feel like when you bring up old weird Cartoon Network stuff, they're like, oh yeah, Mike Lunog and not My Life's a Teenager, but whatever happened to Robot Jones, like stuff like that, like, and then I never hear anybody bring up Sheep in the Big City to the point where it's just like, oh yeah, this show, fuck. I forgot about it.
Also, you say like it's an obscure show. Juniper Lee is in fucking Fusion Fall. So like
that's true.
Oh man. But
I'm so excited to
me
get
too.
To Juniper Lee.
I'm so excited to talk about Juniper Lee and then shit on American Dragon Jake Long. But anyway, side note, you bring up Michael Lunog, such a good point. Because I remember I talked about how much I love Michael Lunog, how mid it was, but in a good way, how chill it was. The difference between Michael Lunog and this show is that this show is constantly bombarding me with fist of jokes. Yeah. There is no chill to this show, but also it's too long and nothing happens. It's like a very interesting thing where like there's jokes, I'm like laughing at this, but also it's distracting and things going on. Michael Lunog is the chillest fucking show on earth. And I think if this show was chiller, it would also be worse because it wouldn't be as funny. But also, this show is too long. Like, this show lives in a weird purgatory of, it's good, I don't want to watch it. And I don't think, and I think, like, it's almost a talent.
It's funny because, like, I'm going to keep on harping on this with, like, the similarities to, like, Muppet stuff. But, like, well, one, the Muppet show from the 70s was, like, a, like, very light story, a lot of variety, that kind of... there was like a story in each episode, but it was just like, here's Kermit trying to wrangle everybody in the behind the scenes, and then, on the stage would be like jokes or a song or whatever. But I think of stuff like Fraggle Rock, where it's like, it's like a show, like it's a real TV show with like, here's an episode of conflict, A and B plots, that kind of thing. And it's very funny, but it's also, it's an actual show. Like, it has structure to it. And I think that it's interesting that, like, Mike Lunog I would characterize as a show where it's like, it is definitely worth doing in animation, and it has the interesting art style and everything. And, like, there's a lot about it that can only be done in animation. But, like, it's very writer kind of show. Like, it's the dialogue is very important to the show, and so it's like very clever, very like, characters are saying things that are like funny or witty or whatever. And then this show is like, I think it's less writery and more like improv. Like, it's these people, it's like performers getting together, and like, I'm sure it did have, like, a team of writers, but it feels like a bunch of people trying to make each other laugh.
Very much so.
Which is good, because,
we've talked about how that worked in other shows before on this podcast.
But it's just, like, when there is a certain point where you start to feel like the third wheel to the writers, and like the people involved, like the people like making the jokes, where it's like, all right, I'm starting to lose the plot. I have no idea what the fuck you guys are talking about. That's the like, and it gets like, even if you do, like, it does just start to get overwhelming. Like, it's never fun to be the third wheel of like two people having a conversation, like
even if the
joking and
conversation
getting
is
along.
even if the conversation is good and it's funny, sometimes you just don't want to be there in that kind of situation.
Yeah,
and
you're just
I definitely
okay,
agree with that.
I can disengage, so that's how I feel. Like it feels like, as funny as it is, and as much as I enjoy it, when I do enjoy it, it just gets to the point where I'm like, no, don't really enjoy it anymore. So I'm just gonna move. That's why I said I only watched a couple episodes of season 1, and I was like, is season 2 gonna be that much better? And then didn't.
It's a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
You said before this for a short. This thing would have killed if it was a Secret Squirrel type deal. I think.
Yeah.
If we staple, matter of fact, if we stapled this on to because I think the Kids Next Door guy is a big fan of this show.
Yeah.
If this was a small short in between Kids Next Door segments that was 4 to 5 minutes long, I would have been way nicer than this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just some point you feel like this. Hey guys, I'm just gonna head out. You guys seem like you're having a fun talk. I'm just gonna head out. Good luck on everything.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I think this show is perfectly rated. It's not underrated. It's not overrated. This is a perfectly rated show where you people go, "Hey, this is funny," but also, it only got 24 episodes for a reason.
Yeah, you watch it and you're like, yeah, I get that. Again, there are shows where I watched it and I'm like, yeah, this is good, but it's just by the end I'm like, god damn, fuck this show or whatever. I have that sensory overload or whatever. My Gym Partner's a Monkey is a big one of those where I'm there are a lot of funny elements to it, but by the end it's just it's just so hard to watch, just so obnoxious and mean and everything. And this show, obviously, it doesn't get to that point or anything.
No, it doesn't ever get to the point where it's annoying. But I do think it ends perfectly. I think it ends at the age where it needed to end.
Yeah, it's. I think we got. It's good. It's good. It is where it is. I think more people should acknowledge its existence. But other than that, it's just we don't need a fucking renaissance or whatever. We don't need to pretend it's the greatest show ever made.
Oh man, should have had 4 seasons.
Classic.
No. Yeah, I do think much like every show we've covered, I do think there's merit in watching the show. It's not just for the art and the sense of humor. Because the thing is, people say, I see this a lot online. People said this show formed their sense of humor, and I could definitely see that. This show is very ironic and very self-referential and stuff in a way that I see this show is also very pun heavy. I can see this shaping a lot of people's senses of humor, but I also think that anyone whose sense of humor was shaped by this show will probably make a show that's 1,000 times funnier.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and like I said, even if it wasn't the case, you definitely do get stuff like AJ's Infinite Summer, which unfortunately didn't get to be made into a show, but it has that sort of sense of humor of it's just so weird and stupid. I remember Toby describing to me at one point the idea that to him in comedy, yes is always funnier than no. So if something stupid happens and the characters go along with it instead of questioning it, that is always funnier than if somebody's did you really just say blah blah blah, snarky or
the MCU
whatever,
problem.
Putting that down.
Yeah,
it's always funnier to be oh my god, they're taking this dumb bullshit seriously. That is always
because
funnier.
It keeps you as the guy that goes, did you just say that, as the watcher, which is funny.
Yes. Yeah, and that makes sense, especially because he was Porter on regular show, and that feels like a huge part of that show was that by the end of the episode it's insane, but they are just the steps that it took to get there are so gradual that they never question it along the way. They just, by the end of the episode, what's happening is ridiculous, but they didn't have time to fully unpack what's going on. So it's I don't know, I'm excited to get to that show too in 15 years or however long it'll take us. I think that's it.
I feel not to do Sheep a disservice. Literally, the show is this feels like a show about nothing, and a nice in a comedy way. So there's not much we could really fucking say about it.
Yeah, I think we said plenty. Because we talked about it, our feelings on it, and then we discussed sort of the meta of the show, sort of
Yeah.
what it means, and like got to go on a topic that we'll probably revisit in the future of like lengths of shows and
When
that.
we talk,
we broke the ice on that, that's our
when
opinion on
you
it.
drag me through the shards of glass that is watching Adventure Time.
Yeah.
We will go over that. Wait, I don't make this clear, guys. I don't hate Adventure Time. I think Adventure Time is very good, but also unlike Wyatt, I watched it as it aired. So
Yeah, I did.
When
I
it wasn't good,
at like season 6.
yeah,
so.
when it wasn't good, I was in them trenches. So I'm allowed to be mean to Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because I want to do a series of videos on Adventure Time being like, this used to be my favorite show, like, ever, like, when it was airing. I loved it so much. I was the exact demographic, basically, for the show. And that, I was like 15 or whatever.
yeah,
when
you
it
were
was
at
airing.
15, you started getting
corny-
a beard, you love bacon, you love...
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's the exact
You had the little
annoying
mustache
white
finger
guy.
tattoo.
Yeah. That was like that exact annoying guy. And then like, I think it was like season 5 and then season 6 sort of like, I was like, man, I kind of just wanted the show to end with like season 4. Like I felt like
This isn't my beautiful wife. This isn't...
Yeah. Because like by that point I was like, I don't know, the stuff with the Lich and the like other dimension and everything like that, that felt like a pretty good place to just end it and then not do anything more. And then they just like kept going, and it just felt like they were like trying to, I mean, we'll talk about it in the episode, but like, it just felt like they were like taking it in a weird direction. But anyway, yeah, I feel like we're done talking about Sheep in the Big City. It's a good show. I recommend watching it because it's all on YouTube.
I also
most
recommend,
of it's on YouTube.
No, it's all, I thought it was all on YouTube. I saw season 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah. So just go, like, look it up, watch it, watch an episode or two.
Definitely,
like,
definitely get in the comments of the episodes, so the people making that Future Fall revival will put Sheep in it.
Yeah, of course. And they are going to do that for sure. If there's anything we know about Cartoon Network, it's in a healthy state of being right now.
They'll
So
definitely
means...
make it MMO. Yeah, like they'll definitely make it MMO with Sheep in a Big City. I was like, I'm very sure of it. Why? I don't know why you're fucking laughing.
Yeah, but I will say this: we are recording these slightly out of order. So the Courage episode we haven't recorded yet, but it is the one before this.
Yeah.
So our next episode is Time Squad. So. That's another weird one where I've only remember like a few episodes of that.
I remember the sandwich bit, and that's it. But also another show, oddly enough, not in Fusion Fall.
There you go. Maybe this era of like these weird early 2000s sort of failed shows. There's Robot Jones in Fusion Fall.
Is Robot Jones a Fusion Fall? I don't think Robot Jones is a Fusion Fall, which is... I can't wait to talk about that, because I have some takes. But Robot Jones is not a Fusion Fall. Dude, we live in a... What was this? Fucking 1963? What the fuck does you mean there's no Robot Jones in Fusion Fall?
Yeah, this
whatever.
is bullshit.
I'm over this. I gotta go get mad.
But yeah, Time Squad, it will probably have a guest, but it might not, just because of time considerations.
But if it doesn't, that's fine. Me and Wyatt will have takes on Time Squad,
Yeah. We'll take that on. But yeah, just I have a friend who wanted to be on it, so we'll see. But anyway, it was good talking about this. Morgan, why don't you plug your shit?
What's up, everybody? It's me, Morgan. I'm plugging shit again. My name is Girl Next Vor on Tumblr. Co-host. Nice. Blue Sky Until It Dies, because I will kill it. I'm also on Twitter. You gotta find me. It's a secret. I have no products coming. I have products coming up, but they're not ready yet because it takes time to do stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Wyatt, where can we find you? What do you do?
If you want me, my social medias, there's Wasp Ranger on Twitter, WAZP Ranger. Mostly just stream of consciousness stuff, but I occasionally post about videos or the podcast or art.
Some cool art and animation you've been doing recently.
I've been doing some practice, some animation stuff, some animatics. I just finished a first pass on a big, like, 90-second long like opening sequence kind of thing that was like took a lot of time because most days in this office it's boiling fucking hot, so I would like go in for like 45 minutes and be like, all right, gotta get out of the office, go somewhere else. So that's that'll hopefully be done like within like a month or so of this episode going up. So you'll see that because it's pretty cool. Or I'm proud of it to a degree. But there's also the Patreon, which if you want to support me, that would be a big thumbs up. I could always use the extra cash, and also it helps make this show happen. So go on at the $5 level. You can get this a week early. You can, if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can get that Time Squad episode right now.
Yeah. You don't want to be 3,000 and late. No, come on.
Yeah. If you're listening to this on Patreon, thank you so much for donating at the $5 level. You get this, and you get the show that I do with Cody, which is Stephen's Kings or Doctors in Discuss. We've gone back and forth on that. But Cody is a little bit busy right now, so we haven't had a time to record an episode in a while. And then at the $1 level, if you only got $1 to spare, we still got stuff, which is Wow Cool Robot. Me and my friend Dwayne, aka Bolt Creature on Twitter, go through and review every single robot in existence. Every episode is like 5 to 10 minutes long. We review one robot. We rate the robot at the end of the episode, and then we move on to the next. Just get in, get out. It's very fun, very quick. I try to upload it every Tuesday and Thursday. If not, at least Tuesday, it goes up. So yeah, there you go. Got consistent stuff. Weekly episodes of this show. Double weekly episodes of that show, It's good. Check it out. But that'll do it for this episode of Cartoon Buffoons. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah.
And then join us again as we go back in time 24 years to check out Time Squad. See you there.
Love sandwiches.
Yeah.